This sample problem will cover site work and excavation. We will be basing it off of Plan 100 and some additional information that is provided. There will be posted to Blackboard the sample problem that will give you each of the questions as well as the answers, so you'll be able to reference back and see how we calculated those answers. You feel free to write on that page or take your own notes, whatever is best for you. I will show you the sample set that we'll be working on in one time, and then you'll have to reference back to know which numbers, which questions we're working on based off of the numbers. So again, based off of Plan 100, we're going to start looking at our perimeter and our centerline perimeter. So we're going to first calculate the perimeter of the foundation, the centerline length of the front foundation wall, the centerline length of the side foundation wall, and then the centerline length of the complete foundation system. So what we're talking about when we are looking at centerline, we have our basic Plan 100 foundation plan. We have our 36-foot overall length. We have 26'4" as our width or side of our excavation. If you recall, on the framing plan, it is 26 feet in length. This additional 4 inches comes from our brick ledge. So what that means is we have a 4-inch deep brick ledge that is essentially a chunk that is taken out of our foundation wall. It's out of the front wall, which is 12 inches thick. So that remains 8 inches is left over at the top. The height of the brick ledge can be variable depending on what you're working on. Based upon our wall section, we know that it is 8 inches in depth. So in general, for the purposes of calculating excavation, it is not going to come into play, but we do need to know that once we put our rear foundation wall being our 8-inch thick wall, our overall dimension from front of wall to back of wall is our 26 foot 4 inches. So when we're looking again at our foundation plan, we're then first calculating what is the overall perimeter. Perimeter, basic math, we have our front plus side plus back plus other side. So we can just simply do 2 times our front, 36 feet, plus 2 times our back of 26'4", and we end up with 124 feet 8 inches. You could also write it as 124.67 feet. Either one is acceptable when you're doing your calculations and showing your final answer. Number 2 looks at centerline length. So when we're talking about centerline, we are looking at our foundation system. The purple lines are our overall exterior dimensions for the outside of our foundation as well as the inside of our foundation. We have our, again, overall 36 feet length, 26'4" is our overall width. The concept of centerline is bringing in our dimension off of our exterior wall to the halfway point or the center of our foundation wall. So depending on what the thickness of the wall is will determine what that centerline point is. For our side and back walls, because we have 8-inch thick walls, that means we have 4 inches as our halfway point. For our front wall being 12 inches, it means that 6 inches is our halfway point. The whole purpose of figuring out centerline is because of our corners. We have a thick wall for our foundation. It is not just a simple line. So if we used our exterior dimensions, we would double count these corners. If we carry this line all the way out to the end and then start again going back, we're going to double count. If we use our inside dimensions, we'll miss the corners completely. So what the centerline does is it balances it out. It gives us the most accurate number, so we're not going to be short on material and we're not going to have an excess of material either. Very common when we're dealing with concrete, excavation of dirt, as well as masonry. So when we're looking at our centerline length, we have our overall length, and we're going to come in half of the width of our side walls. So we have center line. The nomenclature for center line is just C with an L laid over it. 36 feet minus half the width of the side wall minus another half of our side wall. So 35 foot 4 inches is the center line of our back wall. Sorry, our front wall. What about our back wall? Well, it doesn't matter because the sides are 8 inches thick at the front and at the back. So our back wall center line length will actually be the same as our front wall. Does not matter that the front and the back themselves are different thicknesses. Center line for the sides. We have 26 foot 4 as our center line. Half of the front will be 12 inches over 2, and half of the back will be 8 inches over 2. So we get 25 foot 6 inches for our center line for each side. So first off, our final answer for number 1 and 2 and 3. When we're looking at the center line for the entire perimeter, it is simply calculating perimeter the same way we did in number 1. We're just using our different dimensions we just calculated. So 2 times the center line length of 35.4 plus 2 times our center line side or our center line width, and we get 121 feet 8 inches, or again 121.67 feet is an acceptable answer as well. As we go through our problems, we'll also want to know the back and sides as a total, because both of these are all of our 8-inch walls. So if we just take our 35 foot 4 plus 2, because we have 2 sides, times our 25 foot 6, that gives us 86 foot 4. This is not an answer you need for number 4, but you will need it moving on. So that concludes how to calculate the center line perimeter and the first problem set.